Hi everybody, a very warm welcome to my channel, Nelly the Narcissist, or Nelly not the Narcissist, that I added recently, as many people were getting confused about that. So for anybody that's new to my channel, welcome. I started this channel with comedy skits to raise awareness about narcissistic abuse. And my central character and the motif of my channel is Nelly, who is the narcissist. I'm not a narcissist, but I learn all that I have having been through narcissistic abuse. And I still make the comedy skits, although now my main focus is on the podcasts, but you can find links to all of my skits below. And if you haven't seen my comedy offerings, then I invite you to go check them out and let me know what you think. So in today's video, I had a request in the comments, and do feel free to post your questions there because sometimes I will make answers for them in these videos. And the question that was asked is, should I warn others about the narcissist, or should I just allow the narcissist to overplay their hand and blow up the situation and relationship? So I'm going to be answering this today from my own perspective, but I'm curious to hear what you have to say. So please do, if you have experience of this, leave a comment below in the description box. And if you want to help me out, then please do like the video and share it with anybody that you think that is going to help today. This one is a very important question, because I think when we all leave a narcissistically abusive relationship, when we begin to unravel it and take stock of exactly what happened to us, we start to see in full technicolor. We see the abuse that we were put through, and at the same time, we have to navigate the most painful, deep, and complex recovery journey. It's not simple or straightforward, and it's not a question of when you're out, you're out. Because what's going on is so deep and it's so intense and it's so unconscious, because we have been tampered with and we've been polluted also on a spiritual level. This is no ordinary abuse. This was a spiritual battle. And it's important for all survivors of narcissists, especially malignant narcissists, to really come to this awareness. Now, if you did battle with a malignant narcissist, you had a very, very close encounter, basically, with a person that had both sadistic and satanic energy. And I'm not religious in any way, but I feel that we have to call it for what it is. This is a person of pure evil, no sugarcoating. So we had a dance with the devil. We were in hell and we survived it. We managed to get out. And it's very normal then for many survivors to look back over their shoulder and want to save others. It's like looking at a burning building. Sometimes you've got a strong desire inside of you and a need to go back in and get other people out. But the danger that's still inside of it, maybe the smoke, has poisoned them. Maybe they're unconscious. They're on the floor. You feel like it is your responsibility and your duty to go and drag their body out to safety. And it's perfectly normal to feel this way, because if you have love and empathy, you don't want anybody to go through what you have been through. But what we're up against is illusion and disguise, because even though you will know they're in a burning building, the chances are they won't see it in the same way. Because that building appears to them on the outside as something that looks really nice, appealing, even comfortable and enjoyable. Narcissists and psychopaths and malignant narcissists, they rely on selling people the fantasy. They need people to go for the life of the mask. And until you've seen behind it, you won't know the level of sinister intent and darkness that lives within that person. And for a long time, people don't realize the extent of their abuse. It isn't obvious to anybody because it's so deceptive. And whilst you're inside of a narcissistically abusive relationship, the narcissist is doing every single thing in their power to keep you tied up in that state of unconsciousness. Hardly anybody trusts in their intuition when they see the flags. And malignant narcissists certainly have a very strong force that keeps people held in a state of suspended fog and entrapment. Very, very much like being under a spell. Now, you will know, if you're familiar with my channel, that I believe there are occult practices linked to that. And it's a thing actually that comes up a lot in survivor stories. What I actually need you to know is it's not just the narcissist that builds the defenses for themselves to keep truth and reality out. But the same defenses are built to stop truth and reality from reaching targets and victims too, which makes this very difficult. Because even if you manage to get a message sent to warn somebody, what do you think are the chances then that the person is going to believe the message? In usual cases, you could say, okay, let's see how this is going to land. It's a 50-50 chance. But in narcissistic abuse, the deception is so potent to get somebody inside that fantasy space. And then they're going to be worked on so intensely that the chances of that message really landing with them is a low percentage. And I'm not here to put anybody off doing truly what they feel is right. There's no one-size-fits-all approach, and I always encourage anybody to use their own intuition, but I'm just basing this on what I already know about narcissistic abuse from my own experience. If I recall the start of the idealization phase, and even later in the devaluation, I rejected very firmly any idea or suggestion that the narcissist was bad, and I would not allow the idea that I was being exploited. Because by this point, I had a lot of loyalty and a lot of emotions invested and tied up in the narcissist. I had so much investment. I basically thought that I was in love. And so I would have defended the narcissist to the death. And I actively rejected all the people that tried to protect me and were caring about me. And I was fully under the spell. And unfortunately, I wasn't the only one. Remember, many people that narcissists target, if they get their hands on them, are highly empathetic and deeply caring and fiercely loyal. Try telling somebody that doesn't know evil exists that they're being deceived. And if they're like me, it won't go through. It's going to be bounced straight back off the surface. I look back now and I feel very sorry for those loving souls that tried to get me out. They wanted the best for me. I rejected the advice because they told me things, basically, that I didn't want to see and I didn't want to believe, even for a second. I said, no way, this can't be. You don't know what you say, or you're jealous, basically. You're envious, you're judgmental. For my case, and please do add your own experience of this in the comments. Even though they tried to implant the message in my mind, I just wouldn't even allow a seed to fall into the ground. My defenses just kept it out because the narcissist did such a powerful job on me. And the rest I basically did to myself because I wasn't willing to accept the truth or reality that I actually intuitively already knew. I was just brainwashed. So no seed grew. And this is also true for a lot of people that go through narcissistic abuse. But on some occasions, that seed may find its way into the ground and it might take root. And it might help individuals to see better when they start to see more and more behind the mask of the narcissist. Although I do strongly feel that we can't really save other people or force that on them because we have to save ourselves first. And if we pull somebody else out of it before they're really ready to walk away, there could be a chance that they're going to go back. And it's very painful for people to witness. And people usually need to get to a stage where they can see it for themselves. And sadly, that's usually more later than sooner, especially if somebody, is put underneath a narcissistic trance. Again, I'm not telling you what you should or what you shouldn't do, but I want to make you aware of all of the factors, all of the risks that are involved. If the narcissist is malignant that you dealt with, then you have to be extremely careful because contacting somebody that is still in the world of one of these people, especially if they're close and they're strong supply for the narcissist, it can stir up a lot of trouble and potential danger to you because these people are unhinged. They have no bar to restrain them or a conscience to stop them. So they're capable of anything. A friend of mine, she used to say to me all the time in reference to the narcissist, stop poking the bear. Because the bear may be docile right now, but don't forget it's a bear. And it can quickly and very easily wake up and turn on you. And that's something that we also need to be fully aware of once we're in a safe place. We don't want to invite chaos again back into our lives or put ourselves in danger. Our recovery and our healing is so important and we have to protect that. And we have to protect any peace that we have found outside of that narcissistically abusive relationship. And what I noticed, because I had this myself, imagine that you've got to the end and you've finished this computer game. You know all of the levels. You know what you learned, you know what you had to do to pass through those levels. And it's very hard sitting with somebody that's new to that game and watching them play it, because you'd love to point out the things that they need to do versus the things that they need to avoid. And we can often forget, when we look at somebody that is newly entering that kind of narcissist game, that we're at completely different stages. And we think there's a way to help them through, or something that we can do or should do to help them out, to point things clearly to them. And we neglect to remember, even for ourselves, that there's often a process that people actually need to pass through, and they need to find the answers for themselves. And life is often like this. If we could save people from painful lessons, that would be amazing. Most of us would do that. But obviously, we're trying to do it so they don't have to go through it. But life, unfortunately, doesn't often work that way. And sometimes when we come on so strong with our advice and we try to force it upon somebody, they have the opposite reaction. They want to do the opposite thing, go in the opposite direction. So in fact, us trying to help them and pull them towards us or towards safety pushes them into their danger. The other thing that I also believe goes on with this is our desire to go back in time to save ourselves. I think this also lives in the desire to go and save somebody else. I think that it feeds it, the intensity. And I wish that we could have been saved back then, and that, it could have been different. But I would also like you to put yourself in somebody else's shoes that has no idea about anything that you now know. And think, of a previous version of yourself, like that person that you want to warn. And if you are completely honest, do you think a message could have got through to you then? Could have warned you? Would have made a difference? I'm curious actually to hear your honest thoughts on this, because for me, like I said, I know it wouldn't have worked, unfortunately. And I know also, I used to think that these people speaking about the narcissist didn't know the narcissist like I knew the narcissist, which was the big joke, because actually they understood and they knew the narcissist way better than me. And some of them didn't actually know the narcissist. But these were very intuitive, very perceptive people. And they weren't being targeted, so they weren't under any kind of narcissistic spell. And quite honestly, although it's so frustrating when you know about the narcissist and nobody else does, and nobody is likely to believe you, I don't blame people for not believing the opinions of others and all basically that they're told, because if we believed every single thing that anybody told us about anybody, we could be severely misled. So we need to form our own opinions organically. And I totally encourage that, and it requires a lot of letting go of control and our own desires. And what this really comes down to is the way that we gain wisdom and experience, the way that we actually learn as human beings, usually is not by theory, it's by practice. It's by actual physical life experience. And this is why it can be very hard to advise others, because they really need to find the truth for themselves, and they might not be ready for it. It's quite right that narcissists will eventually overplay their hands. They do it all the time. And I've had experience of this, because even when everything is going so well, it's going so good, the best that it possibly can in the narcissist world, and they have everything because they've usually stolen it from somebody else's hard work and their energy reserves, they're still never satisfied and they still want more. Nothing ever satisfies and nothing pleases. This is like a gambler at a table that keeps on placing bets, and they can't leave the table once they already won. So they do blow all relationships up in this way, believing the grass is always greener in somebody else's backyard. And also, as soon as the narcissist begins the idealization with somebody, you might as well set a timer countdown. It's only a matter of time before the truth surfaces and the mask cracks. And I've seen this played out many times, and I've always hated every new start, but I always knew that I had to be calm and patient because things always start off great, but they end up exactly the same way. People are all sold a slice of heaven to begin with, and then we all come to the realization sooner or later that it's hell masquerading as a dream. So it may not be on our timing, but if we allow it to play out and not get involved, people do get to learn about who the narcissist really is. And as I've touched upon, it's obviously very painful to watch people make mistakes, especially in those areas where they're in a narcissistically abusive relationship and they don't know it. But all that we can do is send prayers. Absolutely. Put the light around them. Pray that they get to know the truth and they're set free as soon as possible without so much damage. But you can certainly speak the truth if you feel that it's safe for you to do so, because speaking up is inserting yourself and involving yourself again into the world of the narcissist. And narcissists, they really do not like their plans and scams interrupted or interfered with. But if you truly believe that you're safe, and it is safe to speak your truth to somebody as a warning to them, then you do what you feel that you've got to do. But I advise, say the truth, don't press it, don't wait to monitor it, walk away and let it go, and pour your energy and intention then into your own life and the things that we're able to have more control over. And I think that once truth is said, our job's really done. We don't then have control of what the other person's going to do with it. And I hope if you need to, or you choose to warn somebody about the narcissist, not only are you at a very safe distance, and hopefully the narcissist doesn't know where you are, but I also hope that this won't pull you back into a fight with them and into communication. The truth can sometimes act like a bomb. That's why it's called truth bomb. And it can explode on people. And so I think if a warning is given, it firstly needs to be extremely well considered, not in an emotional state, but in a very calm and rational one. And we have to feel it intuitively as the right thing to do. And then we go in, we say it, and we get out. We have to be mindful that any warning that we give is coming from a place not of revenge, because that will really backfire. And everything that I'm saying obviously is coming from my own experience of this particular subject, but I'm saying and I'm encouraging you to do what you think is best and right based on your own intuition and your situation. But if you would like any guidance, then obviously you're able to book a session with me to discuss any details. My contact is going to be linked below, also in the description box. This is a really hard subject. It's very painful, and I've been in this situation, and the only sanity that I've ever found is to try to practice as much detachment as possible. With things that are beyond control, beyond our control, it's not easy to sit upon truth when we want everybody to know it, because everybody should know how they're being exploited and abused. But sometimes truth isn't always something that people are ready for. And sometimes the truth tellers are going to be the ones that are persecuted. So once again, if you have experience of this yourself and you want to share what you did and what was best for you and how you navigated the situation, then please do share it in the comments, because what you have to say, it could help somebody else. And there's actually a quote from Soul Wisdom that I want to leave you with, because it says that you can't carry somebody else across a bridge that they refuse to see. You can only stand at the other side and say, I made it. When you're ready, you can too. For now, thank you so much for watching. I hope that it's been helpful. Take care, sending love, and I'll see you all again next Wednesday at the same time.